Most poor people don't stay poor because they're lazy, untalented, or unlucky. They stay poor because their mind was trained to survive, not to escape. And this is something no one talks about, because once you understand this psychology, you can never unsee it again. Poverty doesn't start in the wallet, it starts in the brain. And the most dangerous thing about poverty is not the lack of money. It's the habits it quietly installs inside you. Habits that feel normal, safe, and logical, but slowly keep you stuck for years, sometimes a lifetime. Because when someone grows up constantly worrying about bills, food, or security, the brain adapts to one rule only: protect today at all costs. And when the brain is focused on today, it automatically sacrifices tomorrow, which is why many poor people work hard, struggle daily, and still feel like life never moves forward, because effort without long-term thinking becomes a trap, not a solution. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid: poverty trains you to seek short-term emotional relief, not long-term progress. So spending money to feel good today feels safer than saving for a future that feels uncertain. Avoiding risk feels smarter than chasing opportunity, and comfort feels more valuable than growth, not because poor people are weak, but because constant stress rewires decision-making. Psychologists call this the scarcity mindset, where the brain narrows its focus, reduces creativity, increases fear, and turns every decision into a survival choice. And in this state, even good opportunities feel dangerous. This is why the first 1 to 2 minutes of your day, your week, your life look the same for years, because habits repeat what feels emotionally safe, not what is financially smart. And this is where another silent habit forms: identity attachment. After years of struggle, poverty stops being a situation and quietly becomes an identity. Phrases like "people like us don't get rich," "money isn't everything," or "rich people are greedy" are not facts. They are psychological shields to reduce pain, because if success feels unreachable, the brain pretends it's undesirable. And this is one of the strongest hooks keeping people poor without them realizing it. Rich people, on the other hand, are not magically smarter. They are trained differently. Their habits protect long-term thinking. They delay gratification not because they enjoy suffering, but because they can emotionally tolerate boredom, uncertainty, and slow progress, while a survival-trained mind seeks relief, distraction, and certainty, which is why many poor people quit right before results show up. Because motivation runs on emotion, and poverty drains emotion daily. Another critical difference is how failure is processed. Poor psychology sees failure as proof of personal weakness, while rich psychology sees failure as data, something to adjust, not something to internalize. And this single habit changes everything, because if failure attacks your identity, you avoid trying, but if failure gives information, you move forward faster. Then comes reactive living, one of the most invisible poverty habits. When life is controlled by urgent problems, unpaid bills, and constant pressure, the mind lives in reaction mode, and a reactive mind cannot build strategy. It can only respond, which is why poor people often fight fires while rich people design systems. One survives the day, the other plans years ahead. Here's the part most motivational videos lie about: escaping poverty does not feel good at first. It feels lonely, boring, confusing, and emotionally painful, because it requires saying no to comfort, no to familiar people, no to old routines, and yes to uncertainty with no immediate reward. And this is why most people turn back right here, not because they can't succeed, but because their habits pull them back to what feels safe. Real wealth begins with an identity shift. The moment someone stops asking, "How do I make more money?" and starts asking, "What kind of person makes different decisions even when it's uncomfortable?" Because money doesn't follow motivation, it follows behavior, and behavior follows identity. And once identity changes, habits change. And once habits change, results eventually follow, slowly, quietly, and then all at once. The truth is heavy, but it's also freeing. If poverty is learned psychology, then wealth is learned behavior, and nothing learned is permanent. Which means the same mind that was trained to survive can be retrained to build. And the moment you understand this, poverty stops being a life sentence and starts becoming a pattern that can finally be broken.